September 10th, 2019. Yes! Score! We got honeybees by the droves. Swarm for the buckwheat. Swarm for the buckwheat. They're in it today, finally. Very exciting to come out here and find lots of honeybees in the buckwheat, among many other pollinators, of course. There's a honeybee there. And there's several of them over there. All over the place. They're all in it now. As well as many other pollinators. I don't know if those are bee flies or if those are actually yellow jackets. They look like yellow jackets to me. So this is the first planting of buckwheat. This is the one that's way heavier into flower, and that's actually starting to finish out seed already. I'll be able to harvest off of this for some seed for next year, which is excellent, because this is stuff I grew in 2017 under high nutrition. This seed germinated and blew up because it was good quality seed and it was under a good feed program. And then this is the stuff that I got from Agway. This went in a couple weeks after that did, so it's a little bit slower going, especially as the weather's cooling off here. But it's throwing flowers and it's filling canopy, and we got honeybees. Working it. And not just one or two, but they're all through it now. And it was a little more active before when the sun was out, but you get the idea. They're finally in it for real. Yeah, see? They're all through it heavily. So fantastic. I don't think I put this in more than 2 weeks ago. Might be 3. So 3 weeks you can go from seeding a crop to a honey producing flower crop and be building soils and all that other cool stuff. Amazing how fast they can go over a flower. Somebody's being trained on using a machine on the other farm. I don't know if you can hear those voices in the background, but kind of comical. Anyway. I'm really stoked to see my bees out here working the buckwheat that I put in for them. I will definitely be planting a lot more of this year, or next year. I probably will plant this in successions that keep buckwheat in flower for the entire season. But certainly it's an excellent way to fill in end of season and any other dearth parts of the season you might encounter. And it's an excellent cover crop. I want to add other species to it. I'm not sure what I'm going to add to it yet, but I want at least 3 species in a new cover crop with diversity. Preferably 3 species that flower and the bees can go after for nectar and pollen. I probably will incorporate borage in that mix, and I may incorporate a brassica. If we lightened up the buckwheat a little bit, we would have room for brassicas and borage, and then as the buckwheat finished out, the brassicas would come through and flower behind that, I think. But I'll have to experiment with different seed mixes and do some research over the winter and kind of dial in a better idea. Let's just look at this other planting quick. Yep, all through it. And one of the sunflowers that I planted early season actually came up. I don't know if the others got eaten by woodchucks as they germed, or deer, or if they just didn't germinate well, or what. But this one came up, and it's cranking. And of course, it's drawing all sorts of pollinator activity as well. It's amazing. This thing finally just showed up in here, I don't know, maybe a month ago. I just noticed it. And so I added, you know, when I did the foliar feeds in here, I fed it heavier. And it blew up and is flowering. I think sunflower is something I'd probably like to stage in successive plantings as well next year. I really like providing a continuous flower and nectar and pollen source for the bees. And I just like having flowers in flower continuously. It's beautiful. Looks like the powdery mildew is setting in here. I'm not sure if I didn't get the balanced foliar feed on here fast enough, or if I waited too long between foliars, or if we're just at that point in the season. But these plants are starting to crash a little bit, and so the powdery mildew is getting on. And if you know anything about powdery mildew, it spreads really fast when it gets going. So I'm not expecting these vines to continue a whole lot longer, but I'm not also too concerned about it because we got lots of nice delicata squash all over the place under here. I don't know, can you see that one? I mean, you know, like all over the place. Like, we're loaded. So yeah, and I guess I should show, we come out of the powdery mildew, and the newer part of the vine that's growing faster and healthier has not been infected yet. Although you can see that this infection is working from this part of the plant its way up. You know, with less and less instances of infection as we go. Well, that's just another indicator that the soil is not quite up to par yet, and that we need to keep working with it. But I think we saw a pretty strong indication of that early season with the corn not doing as well as I expected in here. And so we'll just keep heavier foliar feeds and drenches on when working this plot until we get soils better. Anyway, I mostly just wanted to share the honeybees and the buckwheat because I was really excited to see that. Hope you found this interesting or informative. Thanks for watching the Pharmacy Seeds Network.